Hi, my name is Derek with Namecheap.
Hi, my name is Anastasia.
In this video, we're going to be teaching you the internet basics and the 3 things that you need to know about to launch your first website. Together with my colleague Anastasia, the 3 things that we're going to be teaching you about today are 1. Domains. What's a domain name? What's DNS? What's a TLD? 2. Web hosting. What is web hosting? Why do you need web hosting? What web hosting is best for your website? 3. Online security. What's an SSL certificate? How do you keep your website and your visitors safe? Right now, it's more important than ever to understand basic elements of the internet so you could better establish your place in the online and digital world. I'm sure you visited social media sites before or typed in a random URL, but how did you get to that online destination? How does the internet even work? I'm sure some of you out there have the next great idea for a blog or video game or personal website that shows off your talents. But before you could get there, it all starts with a domain name. Anastasia, what's a domain?
A domain is a part of a website address after the HTTP. In our case, it's Namecheap.com. But how does a domain work? Every website in the internet is identified by a unique set of numbers called an IP address. This numeric set is what your computer uses to connect to a server where the website data is located. An IP address usually looks like this. Pretty hard to remember, right? Numbers work great for computers, but words are much easier for people to remember. That's why DNS was invented. Domain name system converts the words in the address bar into a computer-friendly numeric IP address. Think of it like a mobile phone. When you want to call your mom, you simply click on the mom contact and the phone dials the right phone number. Domains are connected to IP addresses in much the same way. What are the parts of the domain? Domains, like most brilliant ideas, work on more than one level. They include both a top-level domain and a second-level domain. And, like most brilliant ideas, they center around a single point. In this case, a dot. To the left of the dot is the second-level domain, which can be your name, the name of your business, your blog, or an online store. It's the identity of your site. For Namecheap's domain, the second-level domain is Namecheap. To the right of the dot is the top-level domain, or TLD. In our case, the TLD is a .com. But TLDs come in different shapes and sizes, like country code TLDs, or professional-oriented, or personal ones. There are so many of them that whenever you think about registering a domain name, you have hundreds of ways to be creative. You can always go with an old and reliable .com, but just because it's popular, it doesn't make it the best option.
Now that you know the basics of domains, remember, all domain names are unique. There can never be 2 identical ones. So when you register a domain name, you're claiming it as yours. But before you register your domain name, there's 3 things you should think about. First, make sure your domain name is easy to spell and pronounce. Don't add any unnecessary letters or omissions that's going to make it hard to remember. Hyphens aren't even a good idea. A good way to test domain names is to say the name to friends and family and see if they can easily write it down. Second, keep the domain name as short as you could manage. 2-word domain names are great, but a 1-word domain name is golden. 3. Remember the domain name you choose is going to represent your brand. Don't name your business, blog, or portfolio until you check and see if the domain name you want is available. Last, when you come up with a cool domain name, do some research and make sure there's not already existing companies or products by the same name. You don't want to infringe on anyone's trademark. Trust me, this could save you some legal headaches in the future.
You may be asking yourself now why a domain name is so important.
A domain is one of the most important parts of building your online brand. And branding is one of the most important aspects for any individual or business to establish a professional presence online. Here's why. First, an effective brand strategy gives a major edge in competitive markets. Second, your brand is your promise. It tells your audience what they can expect from you and your products and services and what separates you from the competition. Last, your brand is derived from who you are, where you want to be, and how you want people to perceive you. One of the best ways to develop your brand is through a website. A website shows the world your expertise, your talents, your skills, what you have to offer. Now and in the future, having a strong online presence is going to be a key factor into getting into colleges, landing a new job, or even finding new professional endeavors. So why a personal website when you already have social media? Well, personal website presents you as a pro. On social media platforms, you have to play by that platform's rules. On your website, you have full control of your online presence. You could even create a website and email address with your name. Trust me, it adds a nice professional touch. On your website, you could protect your reputation. You get to carefully curate the content that best represents you. No one can tag you in any embarrassing post on your website. On your website, you own your own space. Even if Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat are important for you having an online presence, they're not going to be here forever. They're not even going to be cool forever. Some of them might not even be cool now. But once they're all gone, you don't have to start from scratch. You have a website that embodies everything that you've done and what you've become. Besides, having a website always adds a little bit of smart credibility to your persona or personal brand. The last thing is, on your website, you could show the world who you are. You could use it as an online resume. You could use it as a place to show your talents and share yourself with the world. Are you an aspiring photographer or writer? Let your website show off who you are and what you have to offer to the world, what you've done and what you can do.
With a website, you can display your skills, cultivate public interest, or establish a strong marketing engine.
Okay, so now you know why you need an awesome domain name for your website. But the next thing you're going to need to think about is web hosting. What is web hosting? What web hosting is best for your website? Anastasia, tell them why a domain needs web hosting.
What is web hosting? Your domain gives people a way to find your website, but every website needs web hosting. Web hosting is a process of renting or buying space to house your website on the World Wide Web. To view a website online, all of its code, images, and content should live on a server. But what exactly is a server? A server is a computer that connects other users from anywhere in the world to your website. Think of it this way: a domain name is your street address, and web hosting is your house. You can have your address before you have your house, but in order to move into your new place, you will need actual space to store all your possessions. But just like every house is different, there can be different types of web hosting. But let's dive deeper to find out what web hosting types are there. The performance of your website depends a lot on the quality of your web host, the amount of RAM, SSD or HDD space, server locations, and web hosting type. Overall, web hosting can be divided into 4 main categories: shared, VPS, dedicated, and cloud. Shared hosting is the first point for almost anyone who's just starting out. It allows you to host your website for a low price on the same server as multiple other websites. It can be compared to renting a room in the big apartment house where you have hundreds of neighbors. Sometimes one of the neighbors acts up and causes discomfort to your life. That happens because on a shared server, all the users are sharing the resources between one another, and there is only a certain amount of RAM, CPU, and other system resources that are shared between everyone. That is why it is extremely important to choose a decent web hosting company that doesn't overpopulate its servers and guarantees top-level services without downtimes, data losses, or security breaches. Shared hosting is a perfect entry-level solution for a small personal website, a startup, or a local business. It is relatively easy to set up, and it can be easily scaled when the website outgrows its resources. The next level of web hosting is called VPS, which means Virtual Private Server. A VPS is usually a middle ground between a shared hosting and dedicated, when your website is too big for a shared server but too small for a dedicated one. A VPS gives you access to your own personal server, even though it's technically one computer that is virtually subdivided into multiple servers. It gives its owner a chance to give a dedicated amount of disk space, bandwidth, customization options, and more advanced management. Compared to shared hosting, VPS provides more freedom and stability. You will never notice your virtual neighbors, whatever they do, because you have your own dedicated space. Going back to the house analogy, having a VPS is similar to renting a whole apartment to yourself and not letting any neighbors in. your separate apartment is fully independent. It has its own entrance and perfect soundproofing. That way, you will never get to meet your neighbors. Dedicated hosting is a premium option for really large companies who want to own a whole server for themselves. Dedicated servers are the most expensive types of hosting, but at the same time, the most advanced and secure ones. Going back to our houses, owning a dedicated server is similar to living in a mansion. You will not need its benefits and power when you're just starting out. And it is simply unreasonable to overpay for a dedicated server if you have a small website and are not expecting a lot of traffic or don't plan any streaming. Shared hosting, VPS, and dedicated can be called traditional hosting types. But there is one more extremely popular and advanced option. It is called cloud hosting. Cloud hosting may sound like a complicated notion, but now that you know a little about other web hosting types and how they can power your website, it will be easy for you to understand cloud hosting as well. Shared hosting, VPS, and dedicated all imply hosting your website on a single server in a single data center. In the case of shared hosting and VPS, the single server is divided into multiple parts, where you get only a small piece of the server to use. With cloud hosting, it's very different. Instead of keeping your data on one server, cloud hosting distributes it across different servers in different places that are all connected. All the servers are virtually united into one. That is why it is called cloud. Hosting your website on a single server means it will go offline in case the server goes down. Even the most expensive dedicated servers are not 100% protected from minor downtimes and maintenance. And having your website hosted on cloud means you will never face any interruptions or downtime. If one of the servers within the cloud goes down, there are multiple other servers that are ready to take over. Your data is simultaneously stored on multiple servers, and one server failure cannot affect your online presence in any way. That is why cloud hosting is the fastest and the most reliable solution. Now that you know what cloud hosting is, you probably think it's way too expensive. Believe it or not, cloud hosting is actually pretty affordable. We at Namecheap have built our own cloud. Namecheap Cloud currently powers our managed WordPress hosting EasyWP. To understand what EasyWP is, let's first define what WordPress is. WordPress is an open-source content management system which allows anyone to use its software for free. It is also the most popular CMS in the world, powering over 35% of all websites in the internet. Can you imagine how many personal websites are using WordPress right now? WordPress is so popular because it's one-of-a-kind solution that allows you to build any type of website, from a personal blog to an e-commerce business. And you don't even need to be a programmer to do it. It allows you to build a website with little or no coding skills. So, what is managed WordPress hosting then? Managed WordPress hosting is usually built on top of cloud platform. It is specifically designed to deliver the best performance for WordPress websites. Managed WordPress allows for less complex installation and management, while your job is only in creating a website. With EasyWP, for example, we provide a custom dashboard that makes it super easy to navigate and create your website. You don't even have to install WordPress yourself. EasyWP does that for you within seconds. And since it's a managed hosting solution, you don't need to worry about any of the technical details because Namecheap will do everything for you. We make sure that your website is up and running, that it's secure and properly maintained. And the best part, due to the immense popularity of WordPress, internet is full of rich tutorials, how-tos and courses on how to build your website using WordPress. You can find almost any information thanks to the large community of WordPress lovers. Wow, that was a lot of facts about web hosting. Let's do a quick recap. We've covered 4 main hosting types. Shared hosting is an entry-level solution for a low price where you share a server with multiple other users, as well as share the service resources such as RAM and CPU. It's a perfect solution for a small website or blog with relatively low traffic. VPS hosting is the next level when your website grows and needs more resources. It is similar to shared hosting, but with VPS, you get your own virtual private server with a dedicated amount of resources for your own usage. You are not dependent on your neighbors and will not notice they exist. Dedicated hosting is an enterprise-level solution for big companies and websites who need the whole server and its capacities for themselves. On a dedicated server, you are the only resident. Cloud hosting is an advanced solution that stores your data on multiple servers at the same time instead of one server in one data center. All of the servers are virtually united into one and provide the most reliable, fast, and easily scalable solution. There can be different variations of cloud hosting, but today we focused on managed WordPress hosting. Now, let's figure out which one of those hosting types should be the right choice for you when you're just starting out. For your first website, you will not need VPS or dedicated hosting. They are quite expensive and require advanced technical knowledge to use. When you're just starting to build your first website, whether it's a college application, a personal blog, or a small website, you should normally choose between shared hosting and managed WordPress hosting. With Namecheap shared hosting, you can build any type of website, install any CMS like Joomla, Drupal, or WordPress, or host a custom website in PHP, HTML, or other languages. If you lack technical knowledge, you can also use our drag-and-drop website builder that comes with all of the shared hosting plans. It allows you to create a simple website with no coding. But if you feel that you want to explore WordPress and enjoy all of its power, you should definitely go with EasyWP. It will provide you with the best experience in building your WordPress website as it was specifically built for it on Namecheap's cloud platform. EasyWP is 3 times faster than any traditional hosting, and it is so easy to set up that your website will be online within minutes. It is also a fully managed WordPress hosting solution, which means all of the server-side configurations are managed by Namecheap.
Okay, so that's quite a lot to learn about web hosting. But remember, with all web hosting packages, you could start smaller and scale up as you grow.
The option that you choose should depend on your needs at the current moment and the level of your technical skills.
Now that you've learned about domains and web hosting, there's one more component to a website that we want to teach you about. It might be the most important component of all, and it's online security. Remember, you want to keep your website both safe for you and safe for the people that are visiting it. And that all starts with one thing, an SSL certificate. So what's an SSL certificate?
SSL is a technology that encrypts communication between site visitors and the website. This encryption protects the important data such as usernames, password, or credit card information, and makes sure it is sent from the user to the site without the risk of interception. The internet is not a safe place, and having an SSL on your website today is a must. Every time you send something from Gmail, buy a product online with your credit card, or log into your Facebook account, an invisible layer of encryption protects your data while it sails through the internet. But how can you know if the website you visit is protected with SSL? All of the SSL certified websites run on the HTTP protocol. This can be checked in the address bar. Most web browsers mark such websites with a padlock. What is positive SSL? Positive SSL is one of the most popular and inexpensive SSL types on the market. This hassle-free certificate is a perfect solution for websites like blogs or personal pages that don't involve many transactions involving user data. In most cases, this certificate can be issued in 15 minutes or less. Like all SSL options from Namecheap, Positive SSL brings encryption, validation, and trustworthiness to your website. Positive SSL is already included for free with all of Namecheap's shared hosting plans, as well as EasyWP Turbo and Supersonic. You've learned a lot about the internet. You can tell the difference between the types of web hosting and know why having a website in today's world is so important for your online identity.
That concludes our lesson today. And now that you know the internet basics and the 3 things that you need to know to launch your first website, we have one more thing that we want to tell you about. If you're a student, we might have a way that you could get a free domain and much more. Namecheap for Education's NC.me program. Here's a little bit about it before we go.
Making the internet accessible for everyone has always been our core priority at Namecheap, which is why back in 2014 we launched Namecheap for Education. If you're a high school or college student in the US, you probably have .edu email address. If you do, you can likely get a free .me domain for a year along with GitHub pages and some other benefits. Just go to nc.me and claim your free domain. It's easy. Follow the link in the description for more information. A .me domain could be perfect for your first website. It's an ideal domain for your personal blog or portfolio, or a digital destination to show your colleagues how you stand out. Having a website is no longer a privilege. It doesn't require advanced technical skills. It is really easy if you know the right tools, and with Namecheap, it is accessible for everyone.